This training video will demonstrate how to create custom floors in Vertex BD, focusing on a cold-formed steel floor. Before we create a custom floor, it is important to know all the elements that make up a floor component. A floor consists of three key elements. A floor type. This is the floor style or template. Floor layers. These are the layers used to build the floor type. A framing tool. A set of framing rules for building the floor framing. It is important to know where these items are located in Vertex. The default elements are stored in the system library. Elements in the system library cannot be modified. A copy of the element must be copied to a custom library before the settings can be edited. To access the system library, follow these steps. Navigate to the System tab and select Libraries. In the library browser, go to System Libraries, Architectural Tools, Floors and Roofs, and Standard Structures. This is where all the floor and roof types that come with Vertex are stored. To access the floor layers, in the library browser, go to System Libraries, Architectural Tools, Floor and Roof Layers, and Structural Layers. This is where the floor and roof layers in Vertex are located. Let's view how the floor type, floor layers, and framing tools all work together to create a floor component. As an example, I will open the properties of a floor style to see how these elements are applied. To view the properties of a floor style, navigate to the Standard Structures folder under Floors and Roofs. Next, select the floor type FLR 1200S 254C. Right-click and select Properties to open the Component Properties window. In the Components Properties window, the example floor type is located in the Standard Structures library, within the Framed Floors CC group. The layers that make up the floor style are listed to the right in the Layers window pane, with additional settings for the selected layer shown below. For example, I will use the existing floor to demonstrate the layers in a 3D floor component. To access individual layers in a 3D model, first select the floor component. The entire floor component is selected, which is indicated by the green color. With the floor selected, you can then select individual layers, which is indicated by the purple color. There are two ways to access the Frame tool assigned to the framing layer. One way, with the framing layer selected, select Framing Tools under the Plane Structure tab in the ribbon menu. Another way, with the framing layer selected, right-click and select Framing Tools from the Context menu. In the Framing Tools window, Frame indicates the type of framing tool, which is under the Type column. The tool is stored under the Floor Structures Tool library. Other tool libraries are found under the Tool Library drop-down field. Floor and Ceiling CC 1200 S200 54 is the assigned framing tool. Other available framing tools are listed under the Tool drop-down field. Rules can be set in the framing tool for joist spacing, setting profiles for individual parts, details, and various other settings. Select Cancel to close the window. The floor library and floor types in the wood version of BD are like the steel version, except the wood version includes libraries for various engineered wood product floor systems. The standard wood floor joist systems are under the Standard Structures library in the Framed Floors group, where you can find floor types for various floor depths. Select the 2x12 floor framing as an example. Select the frame layer, right-click, and select Framing Tools from the menu. The framing tools in the wood version are used the same way as those in the steel version. Now that we understand the elements of a floor in Vertex, let's create a new floor type. I will demonstrate how to create a floor layer and a floor frame tool. A new floor layer or floor frame tool is not required if a system version exists that can be assigned to a new floor. Let's start by creating a floor type library. Remember, system libraries and system elements, like framing tools and layers, cannot be directly altered. You first need to create a library to save our custom changes. Go to System, Libraries menu group, and select Floor and Roof. In the Floor Library window, select the default Standard Structures library in the upper left panel. Then right-click and select Create New Library. Name the library, avoiding spaces or invalid characters. For this example, use my_structures. Assign a priority order for the new library in the Component Library window. Setting it to 0 places it at the top of the list. This is an empty library and no floor type has been added. To add a floor type in the new library, navigate to the System Standard Structures library, Framed Floors, CC Group. Choose an existing floor type to copy. For example, select the 1200 S200 54 cc framing 3/4 inch plywood floor. Right-click and select Copy. In the Libraries panel, select the My Structures custom library, then right-click and choose Paste to create a copy of the floor type in the custom library. In the Properties window, make the necessary changes. Leave order and selection group as is. For the name and file, a unique name or code needs to be assigned to the floor type. The current name has the maximum allowed number of 16 characters. Change it by removing the L and R and adding MY to the end. For description, append 1.5 LW and CONC for lightweight concrete. Click OK to add the floor type to the new custom library. The My Structures custom library now includes the new floor type under the Framed Floor CC group. Click OK to save changes and close the window. Next, we will add a 1.5 inch concrete layer to the floor. The simplest method is to create it by copying a similar existing layer and then editing it to meet our requirements. Note, this step is unnecessary. If a similar layer already exists in Vertex BD, apply the existing layer directly to the floor component. Let's proceed with creating a new layer. Go to System Libraries. Architectural Tools, Floor and Roof Layers, and Structural Layers. Scroll down to find a layer that closely resembles the layer material needed. For this example, select SL Comp 250, Composite Slab. This is a 2.5 inch thick slab. Right-click and use one of the 3 options to copy the layer. Copy. Use this function to copy to any existing custom layer library. Copy to new custom library. Use this tool to copy to a new floor layer library, available for new buildings. Copy to new building library. This function copies to a floor layer library only available for the current building. Select Copy to new custom library and name the new layer library. In this example, I will name it My Structural Layers. A copy of the floor layer appears under Custom Libraries. Navigate to Architectural Tools, Floor and Roof Layers, and My Structural Layers to find the new layer library. An exact duplicate of the SL Comp 250 layer is saved in the new library. Next, we need to change the layer to lightweight concrete material. Select the new layer, right-click, and select Properties. Under the General tab in the Materials window, change the description to LW Concrete 1 and 1/2 inch. Leave the Allowed Types field as is, under the Frame Solid Frame type. Change the material thickness to 1.5 for 1.5 inches. In the Code field, assign a unique value. Use LW_CONC_150. Leave the Frame Tools field to No Tool, A framing tool is not required for this material. Leave the settings under the Line Properties, Surface Properties, and Fill tabs as is. Under the Parameter tab, there are fields for material density and thermal conductivity that you can fill, if applicable. Leave the settings under the IFC tab as is. The new floor layer is ready to be applied to the new floor type. Navigate to the System menu, Libraries group, Floor and Roof. Select the new floor library in the upper left pane in the Component Properties window. My Structures library is our example. Select the Framed Floors, CC group, under the My Structures library. In the lower left pane, select the 1200S 254cc floor type. The floor consists of two layers, a frame layer and a sheathing layer. Select the top layer material. This is the sheathing plywood material. Right-click to open the Layer Editing menu, which includes tools for inserting layers, above or below a selected layer, deleting selected layers, reorganizing layers, and accessing a framing tool, if applicable. Select Insert Above to add a new layer above the sheathing layer. Vertex adds a copy of the selected layer. Edit the new copied layer. Change the sheathing drop-down field under the Type column to Frame, Solid Frame. This is the type assigned in the layer properties of the lightweight concrete layer. Next, select the plywood subfloor material in the drop-down field. Scroll to the top of the list and select the lightweight concrete 1.5-inch material. The thickness field automatically updates to reflect the 1.5-inch thickness assigned in the layer properties. Select OK to close and apply the changes. Vertex includes a robust set of floor framing tools. The available tools should meet your needs, but if you need to create a floor framing tool, I will demonstrate the process. An important note, the location of the Framing Tools library has been changed in the latest version of BD. For Vertex BD 2024 and earlier, continue following the next steps on how to access the framing tools. For Vertex BD 2025 and newer, skip ahead to the next section to access the framing tools from the new library location. Navigate to the System menu, Structural Libraries group, Floor and Roof Framing. The Framing Area Assembly window provides access to framing assemblies for roofs, ceilings, and floors. Locate an assembly that closely resembles your requirements and make a copy for editing. Use the right scroll bar to locate an appropriate assembly to copy. A faster method for locating an assembly is to use the browser. Select the Show menu /and Browse, or use the keystrokes, Shift plus arrow down or up keys, to open the Browse window. This opens the assembly database in a list format with detailed information. Select an assembly to copy. Select the FC 1200 S254 floor and ceiling framing. This assembly corresponds to the profiles in our framed floor system. Double-click to open the assembly or select OK. The next step is to make a copy of the assembly. In the Framing Area Assembly window, select the Edit menu. Tools for adding an empty row before or after the current assembly, deleting a row, copying a row, and various other tools are available in the Edit menu. Select Copy Row to copy the current assembly. This will copy the current framing settings, except for the assembly name. Enter a new assembly name and ensure the name is unique. I will edit the original name I copied and pasted in the field. Add LWC for lightweight concrete to the end of the name and in the description. Make this tool available only for floors by removing ceiling from the description. Unchecking ceiling under the structure type and ensuring only floor is checked. Leave floor structure settings as they are for all four fields for the floor structure details. Under the Frame Default tab, change the spacing to 12 inches on center as the default. Leave other settings the same. If the profile needs to change, select the SEL button next to the default piece field and assign a different profile. The Additional Parameters button opens a window displaying all other framing parameters. Here, you can edit the values for other assembly parameters. Ensure the entered values match the library values exactly. Select Cancel to close the window. There are other tabs for assigning different details and adding insulation. Leave those settings as is. Select OK to close the window. In Vertex BD 2025 and newer, the location of the Framing Tools library has changed. Navigate to the System menu in Libraries to access the Framing Tools library. Go to System Libraries, Framing Tools, and Floor and Ceiling Structures in the browser. This folder contains all the system floor and ceiling framing tools included with BD. A copy must be created before editing a framing tool. A system framing tool cannot be modified. Scroll down and locate the FC 1200S 254 Floor and Ceiling Framing Tool to copy. Right-click to bring up the menu. There are 3 options for copying a framing tool. The first option is Copy. Use this command to copy a framing tool to an existing library. Copy to New Custom Library. Use this feature to copy a framing tool to a new custom library if one does not exist. A custom library is available for the current and future buildings created in BD. Copy to New Building Library. This command is similar to Copy to New Custom Library, except the new library is only for use with the current building. The building library will not be available for new buildings. In this example, use the Copy to New Custom Library command. Add a new name for the library description. I will keep it simple and add my and an underscore to the existing file name. Vertex BD added the new custom library and a copy of the framing tool under Custom Libraries. To access these, go to Custom Libraries, Framing Tools, and My Floor and Ceiling Structures in the browser. Now that we have a copy, we can modify the framing tool. Select the framing tool and right-click to bring up the menu. Select Properties to open the framing tool properties for editing. In this example, we will create a framing tool for use with our custom floors. Enter a new assembly name and ensure the name is unique. Add LWC for lightweight concrete to the end of the name and in the description. Leave floor structure settings as they are for all 4 fields for the floor structure details. Under the Frame Default tab, change the spacing to 12 inches on center as the default. Leave other settings the same. If the profile needs to change, select the SEL button next to the default piece field and assign a different profile. The Additional Parameters button opens a window displaying all other framing parameters. Here, you can edit the values for other assembly parameters. Ensure the entered values match the library values exactly. Select OK to close the window. There are other tabs for assigning different details and adding insulation. Leave those settings as is. Select OK to close the window. To assign the framing tool, go to the System menu, Floor and Roof Library. Select Framed Floors, CC Group, under the My Structures library. Select the framed floor type and assign the New Custom Frame tool under the Layer section by right-clicking on the Floor Frame 12-inch material. In the Framing Tools window, confirm Floor Structures is selected under the Tool Library column. The application assigned to the framing tool is for use in a floor application. Under the Tool drop-down field, scroll down to find the Custom Frame tool. The tool ends with LWC. Select it to apply the frame tool to the framing layer. For Vertex BD 2025 and newer, the process for selecting the custom framing tool has changed slightly from the previous versions of BD. Select the Custom Framing Tool library in the Tool Library drop-down field. Under the Tool column, select the Custom Framing Tool. In this example, the Custom Framing Tool ends with LWC. Note the spacing has been updated to 12 inches. This reflects the setting in our Custom Framing Tool. As you can see, the settings are disabled. This is because they can only be modified directly in the Framing Tool or for a floor component in a model. Select OK to apply the change to the layer. Let's add a new floor using our new floor type. I will start by first removing my example floor. Switch to the first level deck model pair. But before adding the example floor, the 3D floor level requires modifying. Open 3D levels in the side menu. Select Settings, Location and Height, and 3D levels. Change the default first floor depth to match the depth of the new floor type. For the first floor, select the custom framed floor with a 12-inch depth from the My Structures Framed Floors CC library. Select OK to apply the change. Before adding the framed floor, ensure the current model pair is set to the first level deck layout. Under the Modeling tab, select Floor and select the custom framed floor type. Draw an 18-foot by 18-foot floor for the example. Select the floor and open the framing tools to see the new framing tool associated with the new floor type. In this example, I will generate floor panels. First, add a panel break in the center of the floor area to create 2 panels. With the floor selected, select Panel Break in the Plane Structures ribbon menu. Right-click and select Add Panel Break to the area to add a single break line. Select the midpoint at the top edge of the floor area. Select the Escape key or Exit from the context menu. To create the panels, select Generate Panels from the Plane Structures ribbon menu. Next, select the 2 panels and select OK. In the Panel Build window, leave the settings as is. However, we will change a parameter. Select the Parameters button and change the framing properties to Longest Span to span the joist in the longest direction of the floor panel. Select OK in both windows to create the panels. Vertex panelizes the floor area. The framing profiles are spaced at 12 inches on center, as per our framing tool settings. Switch to the 3D architectural view to see the new concrete layer applied to our custom floor type. Switch to the framing view to view the framing profiles. Note that the concrete layer visibility is off in this view. This concludes the demonstration on creating custom floors in Vertex BD. Watch our other videos to learn more about Vertex BD.